Snipers, welcome to Sniper Sundays on Sunday the 16th of February. I hope you're all well and had a great weekend. So last week was a fairly quiet week in the market. As we know, we only had two trades. And not just a quiet week for us, but the market in general was fairly quiet. So we're looking ahead to this week and hoping to see a lot more movement. And as explained, I anticipate the big moves happening this week. So let's look at the economic calendar first. Tomorrow is a relatively quiet day fundamentally. You can see there's no real high impact fundamentals. We do, however, have a US dollar, not US dollar, in America. The US is having a bank holiday tomorrow, so we could potentially see a quiet day in the market. So we'll keep an eye on that. Tuesday, then we have. So this week we got Aussie dollar is sort of in focus again. We know we've been watching Aussie dollar for quite some time, which I'm going to run over on the charts in a minute. But we have Aussie dollar news on Tuesday, and then we also have some news on Wednesday, with some other news, Canadian dollar and the FOMC meeting on Wednesday evening, and then Thursday we have unemployment and employment rate, which is a big one for Aussie dollar. That's the main one for Aussie dollar this week. And then we have retail sales for the UK, GBP, which could be a big mover in the market. Then we have the European Central Bank monetary policy meeting, which could be very, very big, along with all of this Euro news on Monday morning. So we've got flash PMI data coming out from places in Europe to give us an understanding of how things are going in France, Germany. Then we've got GBP, flash PMI services, and then we've got the core retail sales coming out from Canada on Friday and some US news. So fairly busy, not I said the most busiest week, but we have got quite a bit coming out. So we're going to be looking at the various situations and how these fundamentals are going to affect our trades. So we can see here in general, Friday we have a busy Euro day. And pound. So pound and euro, Thursday, Friday, we've got news, and we have employment news for Aussie dollar on Thursday as well. So the busiest days, as always, seem to be are on Thursday and Friday. The fundamentals this week is the busiest days as well. So now we know that we've got euro news on Friday, Thursday, Friday, GBP news Thursday, Friday. We need to think, how will the market behave before then, and what could happen, and what could happen leading up to it, and what could happen at the time. Now, there's two options that can happen, and usually in a scenario like this. So we've got Euro USD here, guys, and with Euro news coming out, what we can often see is here we're at levels where the market is currently in fear. We dropped below this last support. We look like we're free falling. It looks like, where are we going to find support? It's often at those times in the market when you think, where could this go to next? There's no real sign of a clear support here, that often that's where we can find a sharp reversal in the market. So what we could see here over the coming week, I said two scenarios. We got news out on Friday. If we were to see this turn around and move up to the upside, this often happens on non-farm payroll week as well. We got non-farm payroll on Fridays usually, so obviously this is just an example. But what we can see here is the market gets people get into the market way before the Friday, so we don't always wait for the actual release of the news on a Friday, because by then the market's already moved and it's too late to be jumping in. So what we may see is very early in the week is price actually push back up. We could see price push back up to sort of towards these levels, make a bit of a bullish reversal, and then at that point the news will step in and then take us even higher. That is one possibility. Two, obviously, if we are going to reverse, this is remember in the mind that we're going to be pushing up higher, is that we could consolidate for a little while first, and then we have the breakout on the news. But I do favour the market getting in or pricing in the results of the Euro news earlier in the week, rather than actually wait until the time of the event. So what I'm going to be looking for is very early in the week is signs for this to actually start pushing back up. People will be waiting for later in the week, but as I said, the main part of the move could possibly happen early. Pull back up to this level, then we may consolidate a little bit, but as I said, then the news comes out and we could push up higher. Now, that is with the mindset of this reversing and pushing back up to the upside. Now, obviously, we are very, very bearish. We've had two very, very bearish weeks. So the momentum is to the downside. So you do need to continue to monitor this. However, I still do have my bias. I'm sticking to my bias of pushing up higher. We have now on the weekly chart and daily chart, you can see here lower low, lower high, Well, we made a lower high, came down, couldn't make a new lower low, came back up, made an equal lower high to here, and then we pushed down. So we actually sold this at the beginning of the year and took some profit. And it's we've ridden this. We haven't ridden, but the price has ridden all the way down. So we're now broken below this previous lower low. So in order to, even if it was going to continue going down lower, what can we expect to happen? We can expect, or we know that the market has to pull back. The market has to make a lower high, even if it was to go down and keep going lower. However, I do think US dollar buying up at these levels. We'll monitor how this reacts this week. I think we're going to see US dollar sell off from these levels and push down. And if that does happen, we're going to see Euro USD push all the way back up. So watching this one carefully and patiently, very, very, very patient. Honest at the moment, big bearish day. We may see a doji candle tomorrow, quiet day in the market in the US, and then on Wednesday, we could start seeing this thing start to push back up to the upside. So we're going to be watching out for that and keeping a close eye on this pair. Going to be watching how the market opens on market open. With the current situation with the economy and the coronavirus and so on, that can take a big effect. So at the moment, it's very, should anything bad happen over the weekend, it can change the market massively on market open. So you have to be very, very careful holding trades. Things like the coronavirus can affect gold, which I'm going to run over now. And the reason I'm getting to that is because gold is something that affects a lot of the market. Gold can affect Euro USD, gold affects his US dollar. Gold affecting US dollar. US dollar is the biggest currency in the world. So most pairs are pegged against the US dollar. So we've got Euro USD, we've got USD JPY, GBP USD, Aussie dollar, US dollar. They're all the main currencies. So if the US dollar is going to be affected, then most of the market's going to be affected. So this is always the main sort of thing to watch out for. And then gold is also very important because gold has an effect on the price of, or the price of the US dollar has an effect on gold and vice versa. And even gold has an effect on the Japanese yen. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on the US dollar as we push up to these levels. And I'm predicting to see us actually see some resistance here. We could push up here and make a double top, but this is a very, very strong area of weekly. This is the weekly chart, guys. But this is a very, very strong area of weekly resistance. You can see here we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks rejecting this area and rejecting it very, very sharply. Coming up into here, we finished very, very strong on Friday. However, I do believe that we're going to find some resistance. We can also see here we've got this weekly trend line, and you can see 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Third touch of the trend line could be the catalyst to catapult this back down. So gold is one that we've been watching very, very carefully. Friday come up into this level that we've been waiting for quite some time. Now, I'll just run over why we've got this level once more and why we're looking at selling from these regions. Now, we have to remember our bias is to the downside, but never don't have an ego in the market. Always be open to changing your opinion at any time. And that's the main thing with one of the biggest things with trading, guys. Risk management, patience, and not having an ego. But understanding that you will be wrong sometimes, and don't always stick to one bias. If things change and you see the market change, you need to be able to say, okay, actually, maybe this is going up and I thought it was going down, and change. What people do is, the problem is they have too much of an ego, and like I've explained before, when you have people won't have a stop loss because they don't like taking a loss because of their ego. And so then rather than just taking a small loss, they'll have a big loss and they'll let it run and so on. Or you try and stick to one bias and you won't change it because you won't accept that you're wrong. Where really, guys, it doesn't matter if you're wrong. What matters is about making money. You can be wrong and change your mind, and being flexible and being able to change your mind in the market and change from a short to long or something like that is very, very important. You need to be very, very flexible with the market. That's not really applying to us now, but I just wanted to add that in there. So here, what I'm saying is with gold, obviously I've been saying that I'm favouring a short trade from here. And I said, because of the coronavirus and the external fundamentals happening at the moment, we could see a drive for the safe haven. We could see more influx going into gold. So we may see the price of gold rise. Obviously, I'm expecting this to sell off from around these levels. I will be looking for shorts. But as I said, I've been saying short from these areas for weeks. We didn't even know about the coronavirus originally. weeks ago, but this is now pushing up, and from here, that's what I'm saying, we have to understand that maybe something could happen this week and push us up higher. However, I'm still sticking to my bias for the moment, and I'm very confident of this pushing down from here. We know that this is a triangle formation on the daily. We know price likes to make a fake out on triangle formations, and we'll do this usually at least once or twice before the real move. So remember, like here, we broke out of this triangle formation, fake out here, this bringing everyone to take a short trade, big bearish day. What do 95% of the people do? Take a short trade, and then bang, it goes back up. So this is a triangle formation, just trying to trick people. So what I've just explained to you there is what we're going to probably see here. We're going to see this breakout. We're just started to break out to the upside of this triangle, as you can see here on Friday. So drop down to 4 hour, big strong breakout on the 4 hour. What we may be seeing here, bring people in to look at taking longs now. Gold's going to drive to the upside, more upside. You may see this just go up a little bit here at the start of the week. The higher this pushes into sort of this region, the more perfect for us. And then from here, people think it's going to break out to the upside, but then what's going to happen is this is going to reverse and come crashing down. So everyone who's going to try and take this long breakout here, I think are going to get burnt. And I can see it's coming all the way back down towards the bottom, breaking out the bottom of this triangle. We may play around, even again, we could even come back up a bit more. But long-term bias is to come down to at least these levels here, 1535. But I have said, like at the first Sniper Sundays of the year, when I was given sort of my longer-term bias over the next couple of months, I can see this coming back down into below the 1500 levels. So from here, as I said, why have we got this level, that red highlighted region that I was looking at originally when I first opened up this chart? You see here, daily chart, Fibonacci. We've had a big rejection here, big push back down. We pushed up and then we pushed down. We're pushing back up to this level, and we're coming back up to retest this 61.8% for a third time. 1, 2, 3. Now, gold does like the 78.6% retracement point. It pings off this a lot, and it really likes to reject the 78.6%. So we could come up and push up into these levels. The more this push up, the more that it's going to induce long buyers, and then the bigger the crash down. So we'll be patient and we'll keep a close eye on this one. But I'm looking at the price coming up anywhere into that region. We're in our region now, but we'll be looking at this to extend its push up higher, test possibly this high. Possibly, what do we see before we see a big reversal, guys? Take out the previous high, and then bang. So that's what we're going to sort of be looking out for. Very interested in how gold behaves, and we'll have to keep an eye on it. Now, this is the daily Fibonacci. Then on the 4 hour, we can actually use it on the daily chart though. This is also forming another Fibonacci here. So we've had this push down from A, B, C. We've got a Fibonacci inside a daily Fibonacci. So we've got two here. But you can see here how, let me get rid of this one. We're now hitting that 78.6% retracement level on this inner Fibonacci. And then we've got the extension level lining up with the previous low, and then coming down to make that new lower low as well. So looking at these very closely, and that's the bias for gold. So keeping a close eye on that. So Euro USD, I'm still favoring this to reverse back up to the upside. We're going to be watching this very closely, and as I said, we need to be on our toes and be watching this from early in the week because we don't want to miss it. And I do believe that there is a good possibility that the market will start to price in what's going to happen on Friday or later in the week, where we could have some Euro news that will push this back up. But so we're going to watch it. We can see here we're ranging lower lows, lower highs. We might come and take this level out, and then if we drop down into this sort of region, we'll be looking at this to come back up and make a lower high on the higher time frame. So keeping a watch out on Euro USD. Euro GBP, also going to be looking at long trades from around these levels. We're at very critical levels with Euro GBP, 0.8300. Euro very weak against the pound here. And so yeah, I'm expecting this. This is creating a double bottom at the moment, weekly. So we're going to be watching that. Remember, all sort of signs and formations, the higher the time frame, the stronger they are. If you have a double bottom like this on a 15-minute chart, then it's not as strong. If you have a double bottom on a 1 hour chart, it's stronger. 4 hour chart, even stronger. Daily, very strong. Weekly, very strong, should this level hold. So if we see this hold here, then we're going to be having a weekly double bottom, which means that should this hold and this does become a double bottom, that this has potential to go flying. So we'll be watching out carefully for Euro GBP, and we'll be watching for long trades from around these regions. Now, like I said, we may just see some early movement in Euro at the start of the week, so we could see a quicker turnaround, maybe Monday, Tuesday, that we see this turnaround from these regions. So we're watching out for that. Also, Euro AUD, I'm expecting a similar situation. We've had a nice push down in Euro AUD. We're trying to look for a short trade from here last week. I called this this push down from last Sniper Sundays, but just didn't give us an opportunity to take that short. Now, I am waiting for this to pull back up into this region. Aussie dollar, I think Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar are going to weaken slightly before the bigger move up, which we're going to get to in a minute. So I'm expecting Euro AUD to, now that it's broken this trend line, you can see we had a breakout candle, failure to break any lower, doji candle again, off this level of support, sort of forming this neckline, left shoulder, neckline, head, neckline, right shoulder is where we want to come up to. So I'm looking at this pushing up into that region, and then we're going to see a sell-off. Euro NZD, sort of similar situation. I'm looking at this pushing back up towards these regions, maybe back up towards this trend line. We may even come up and retest that previous resistance. Keeping an eye on this one at the moment, but as I said, likewise, I am expecting Euro NZD to pull back up higher before a push down. That's my bias, but there's no trade for us on this just yet. However, what I will be looking at for is if we do have that, remember this will be more short term, because my long term bias is a sell off to go even lower on Euro NZD. But here we've got this sort of choppy consolidation zone, and I think that we could see a breakout to the upside. So we have an opportunity to take a trade, maybe sort of intraday to midterm, then we could be possibly looking at a sort of trade like that on the agenda. So are we watching out for the short-term bullishness from the euro coming in? So basically, I'm looking for bullishness on all euro pairs over the next few days. Might not be straight away, it might be end of the week, but we have to be, we know what our bias is, so you've got to look out for the signs all throughout the week. Euro JPY as well. You can see here Euro JPY just finishing off this Fibonacci A, B, C, D, hitting this D extension. Is it time now for this to make a pullback? We've had a very big push down since breaking this level here, breaking the trend line. Now, as I said, if we're going to continue down lower, then we've had A, B, C, and we've just hit that first extension on the Fibonacci. If we find support here, what does the price need to do? It needs to pull back up in order to even go lower, if it is going to go lower. So price has to pull back and make a lower high. So by knowing that, we know that this is going to bottom out quite soon, and then we're expecting euro to push up on the majority of its pairs. So we'll be watching out for Euro JPY to see if this can push back up higher. GBP USD. I've said from the start of the year, I'm expecting a big sell-off on GBP. I'm expecting GBP to come down to sort of 12750, possibly 12500, and then after that, I think we can see pound go even higher and maybe even take out these levels here. But that's very long term. GBP has been sort of just loitering around, ranging up and down, making nice moves, but it's still on a bigger picture. You can see it's not really giving us any confident signs of where it wants to go. Euro GBP, I think we're going to actually push back up. You can see here we're back above 1.300. We broke above, we came back down. I think that this could push up into either tap this level here. If it came back up into these levels, I think we'd see a big sharp sell-off. However, I am just keeping an eye on it at the moment. First things first target is I'll be watching price for how it reacts once it gets to this trend line. For that third touch of the trend line, as the bears may step in then and take this down lower from that level. So I'm going to be watching this to come up to this trend line and see how we react. GBP AUD, I'm looking for this. I do like a sell-off on GBP AUD as well, but just like I said with Euro AUD, I'm expecting a little bit of Aussie dollar weakness. Now we have to see how the Aussie dollar opens up after the weekend. But you can see here, I'll just remove this. GBP AUD, we had a resistance here. We tried to break it and we pulled back down sharply. We could come back up and retest this one more time just to make sure that this isn't going to break above, and then we could see that sell off. Really, anywhere from current price, GBP AUD does look like it could sell off. And why that is because here we can see we made a lower low. Down here, from this push down, we made a lower low. We made a lower high. Haven't made a low yet, but we're making a sort of equal lower high here. So price is trying to break out above that at the moment. But it does look like we may just pop up a little bit higher. And you can see here with the Fibonacci retracement that we may be able to pull back up a bit higher. And the 61.8% lines up perfectly with that previous resistance. So we can pop up here. It would be a really, really nice risk reward. And then I'd be looking at holding and swinging this one and holding it for quite some time. We made 3% on this last week with a push down, push back up. This was very, very good for learning from guys. We took a really, really nice trade on this one, and we were up 3%. But then the price just went stale and went quiet. And then we could see on the lower time frames, if you remember earlier last week, where we had this sort of inner triangle formation. And rather than being holding on to it, hoping for a breakout in the correct direction, market gone quiet, market went stale. So I don't want to just, I wasn't in the business of gambling. I wanted to take our profit off the table, because even though my bias was to push this to come down longer term, the market is the market. It trends. It has more patience than any of us. It can push back up first before making that move down. So we've already took a trade on this last week and banked 3%. So now we'll be looking at taking another trade this week and taking far more than we did last week. GBP JPY is an interesting one. Daily here, you can see that we're at this daily resistance. It's been a bit very, very choppy. JPY pairs has been for GBP JPY has been for quite some time. However, we've just broken out this daily trend line, as you can see here, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, broken up, finding resistance here. Monitoring this one, we've had a little bit of a push down on Friday. However, I think a lot of people probably jumped into a short on Friday with GBP pairs on this first little push down. However, we weren't looking at jumping into that just yet. We're being more patient and seeing what's on the bigger picture. GBP AUD here as well. Friday, I'm sure this probably caught a lot of people to taking a short trade here, and then bang, we came back up above, and we've come into and we've had a bullish candle to close the day. So being patient with this one. We see we've had a push down. We're actually pulling it back up now, watching it around these levels, seeing how it's going to react. But again, the Japanese yen is something that could be affected over the weekend. So we'll have a look at that. And as I said, the coronavirus and how that situation is being seen by Aussie dollar pairs and so on, Japanese yen pairs, it is very, very interesting. So we have to see how the market opens. But watching this, I do think that pound pairs could possibly see a little bit of a nudge higher. GBP, as I said, a little nudge higher. GBP AUD a little bit higher. GBP JPY a little bit higher. And then it will just prime us for an even better short. So for instance, GBP JPY on this move here, higher high, higher low. Or even if we just take it from here, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And then we can ride this down to at least a higher low, or even down even further. GBP NZD, because I'm looking at GBP AUD, we know that NZD and AUD move very similar. So GBP NZD is a very similar situation. Quite simply here, 4-hour chart, Fibonacci, we've had a push down from here. Bears have stepped in, took control. However, then we pushed back up one more time. We've made a lower high, which we expect. But then the next push down, we haven't been able to make a lower low. So this is important level here. Are we going to break above this level here? We haven't made a new sort of lower high. We're sort of an equal lower high at the moment. If this area can hold as resistance, then we could come down and make that new lower low to these extension levels, minus 27 and minus 61.8%. So watching out for that. Just get this off the screen. We can see here we're quite clearly rejecting this pocket of resistance, 61 to 78% resistance level. So we're going to be watching out for here and seeing how we react from here. But we could see a nice little trade, just like GBP AUD. We could see a nice trade here on GBP NZD. USD CAD, interesting one. I've been very, very cautious with this. On the bigger time frame, we'll just get rid of this so you can see. We can see here we've hit that third touch on the trend line. I think we actually have to go to the weekly for this one. 1.1, 0.2, 0.3 on the weekly. Zoom in on the daily chart here. We've had a bit of rejection, which we would expect, strong weekly trend line. And we pushed down. We've now pushed down, found a low. We're just consolidating around this level. But I'm still watching for USD CAD to make a little bit of a pull back up. Still think we can come back up into these regions. You can see here on a daily, we've got this little bit of daily resistance here. so we could come back up there. You see these spikes here, spike, 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 showing rejection around this level. So price could come back up into that level and then reject and then push back down. But I am still quite wary. We've only just tipped this trend line just once and not really attacked it more. So I'm expecting price to possibly even push up through here and then maybe test the top of this range, take out the previous high, maybe make a higher high, and then from there is where we might see the biggest sell-off on USD CAD. USD JPY, very annoying USD JPY really. This used to be one of my favorite pairs, but it doesn't really do much at the moment. USD JPY has been a fairly quiet pair for the past, I looked at this last Sniper Sundays, we've been within a 200 pip range since October last year. You can see here, this is the weekly chart, not really much happening. You can see here we're coming between a bit of a triangle formation here as well. You can see here trend line, 0.2, 0.3, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. So it does look like we're waiting for something else to happen now and a bigger explosion. Now, what could help USD JPY break out of this 200 pip range, guys? What has a huge effect on USD JPY? Gold. So we know that gold has a big effect on USD JPY. So if gold was to push down, what we normally see is USD JPY push what way? Higher, because it has an inverse correlation with USD JPY. If gold pushes up higher initially, or it just pushes up higher in general, then what we'll see is USD JPY push down. So keep an eye on this, but as you can see here, we know that triangle formations mean that price is gearing up for a big move. Here we're stuck in between these trend lines, and it looks like USD JPY is gearing up for a bigger move. So as you said, we can also see gold is also within a triangle. So we know that they're sort of inversely correlated. We've got gold trying to break out of a triangle formation, and we've got USD JPY about to break out of a triangle formation. So it isn't just coincidence, it's because the market is linked. So that is what we're going to be watching out for, watching USD JPY. Aussie dollar, US dollar. So interesting one on this is patience is been a virtue last week. It's been a very week to learn that you need to have patience. Aussie dollar, US dollar. Initially explained at Sniper Sundays. I think this was the last daily candle from the previous week. Sniper Sundays explaining that we could dip a little bit lower, but we were looking for longs on Aussie dollar pairs. We even had a long on Aussie dollar CAD on the last day of the previous week. But yeah, we've been looking for bullish signs on all Aussie dollar pairs. But then the week opened up and it wasn't really clear. We started to push up higher on Aussie dollar, daily candle, daily candle, daily candle, and we've pushed up to this. You can see here on the daily chart, we've made a low low, lower high, lower low. This was the lower high, lower low, and we came back up, and we've then found some resistance, and we started to roll over back down to the downside. Now 4-hour chart, this is why I've highlighted this area, and I mentioned this last week. This is where we're going to be watching out for Aussie dollar this week. We've got this left shoulder, inverse head and shoulders possibly. We've got this area of support here. We pushed up, we've got a head. We found support around this region again, but managed to make a new low. We're now pushing up, haven't been able to come up to around these regions, and we're rolling over to the downside once more. Now what we want to see is if this level is going to hold 0.6700, this weekly or monthly support, and this area of support is going to hold here that we've seen here on a daily chart and a 4-hour. You can see here this area of support, What we want to do is make sure we find support a third time to prove to us. Let price prove to us. Let's not guess. Let's not guess what's going to happen. Let price prove to us that it is worthy of our long trades. Don't just take a long trade and hope for the best. Let the price prove to you that is actually that's what it's going to do. Have a plan, mark it out, and then let price come into your zones. Here we're going to wait for price to come down into this 76 between the 61 and the 78% retracement level. If price comes into here and finds support one more time, we can then see, okay, there's very good confluences, and the probability is even higher that this is finding support here for a third time, and then that's when the big influx comes in. So we're watching out for this on Aussie dollar, US dollar. Aussie dollar CAD, similar situation. And let me just clear this up a little bit. So I said last week price was here. I think this was on Thursday evening. I said on Friday we're going to expect price to push down into this region, and then we're going to be looking for this long trade. Now we can see here we got this area of support. Let me just remove this. And where has that come from? Is because we got this 61.8 and 78.6% retracement level. We also had this triangle formation forming, or this counter trend line. So on Thursday I explained we're going to come down and tap this, but also explain that we might even drop a little bit lower, break out of this counter trend line, but not actually break the trend, because this uptrend here is still intact as long as we stay above this level. So we could break out of here, we could have a fake out of this triangle formation, and then we could be looking at a nice long trade. So lots of trades coming up this week, guys. So remember what I said about managing your risk. Make sure you're only taking 1% per risk per trade, because we could have a lot of trades this week. And I don't want you over leveraging your accounts, so you can't take the big and good trades. Aussie dollar, Japanese yen, similar situation. You can see here, remember Japanese yen can be affected by gold, guys. So you're going to be watching out for that. But we can see here, we're sort of being trapped in between these two counter trend lines, sort of triangle formation. It looks like we're about to have a bit of a breakout. I think we're going to break out down to the downside. Aussie dollar weakness to begin the week, back down into these regions. On the bigger time frame, I can show you here, 0.1, 0.2, and that's why I also marked out that we could possibly come down and have a 0.3, lining up with 78.6%, have a 0.3 of the trend line before we then move higher. So that's an option that we're kind of looking out for. We'll, again, have to see how the market opens. And then NZD USD. So I had this marked out since last week. We came and dipped into this level, and we saw a little push off from this level, as you can see here, and the 61.8% off the back of the New Zealand dollar news. Now, after that news, we then just actually continued with trying to push down lower. So you can see here on the daily, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and trying to push down lower. However, we are starting to see some signs that we might be finding support here. So I am quite interested in NZD USD and seeing if it can find some support around these levels. Then maybe we won't see a sell-off on NZD any lower, and we could be looking for possible trades from here. However, on the daily chart, I'll just get rid of this quickly. On the daily chart, we had the bigger Fibonacci. And we tapped that 61.8% retracement. So we're about to come back and retest it one more time. So I'm going to be looking at price coming down to this level here. We'll go down to the 4 hour, get rid of this Fibonacci, and put on our inner 4 hour Fibonacci. So I'll be watching price coming down and tapping it into this sort of zone. You can see here, resistance, broke through, come back down, retest as support, and then we could ping off to the upside. Very nice possible trade there as well. NZD CAD, still got my eye on this. Likewise, I said that last week that I think we could sell off into this region a little bit. See the 61.8% retracement on the daily. However, if I just clear this off as well, you can see here that we've started to find some support where we had that news last week. The New Zealand dollar news helped push this up. Had a bit of a morning star formation here, but again on the daily you can see low low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So we're not able to break above this just yet. You can pull this across, outer trend line, inner trend line on the daily. So we're coming back down here on NZD CAD, and we're retesting after last week's bullish push off the news here. And again, just like NZD USD, you can see here we're pulling back and we're starting to find some support here. You can see here we're finding some support on the 78.6% retracement level. Previous little consolidation zone here. So you can see came down, support, broke through, consolidation zone, resistance, broke through, come down, acting as support. If we could keep finding support here, we may see a nice trade up to the upside as well. So that's mainly our main trades there. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 pairs and 2 commodities and the US dollar index that we've just covered. So yeah, we've got a busy week, guys. So as I said, please, risk management, please keep to risk management. Remember, #1 rule in trading is risk management. Unless you have risk management, you'll never get anywhere. So never gamble, you're here to trade. I always say that, I think, every week. And for those who are in the group a long time will understand why, because it's such an important thing. I repeat it and repeat it and repeat it because it's the most important thing in trading. You will not get anywhere in trading unless you use risk management. 1% risk on each trade, as I explained. Once you get better and you're able to get 8 or 9 trades, you're 90% or 8% profitable, then you can start to go to 2% or 3%. But learn the skill and learn how to actually have some rules and stick to your own rules. And then once you can prove it to yourself, then you can start increasing the percentage. So we've got a very, very busy week. You see all of these pairs that we've covered. With possible trades on all of these pairs, guys. So you can see how many we've covered. So you can see how many trades it could be. On 17 of these pairs that we've covered, nearly every pair has a possible trade next week. Last thing I'm going to just finish off quickly as well is oil. Oil never came down to make that tap on the weekly trend line. Remember, price is a magnet to trend lines. 0.1, 0.2, didn't quite make that 0.3. I feel like this weekly bullish candle here is just a little bit of a retracement. It is a nice bullish engulfing and morning star formation on a weekly, which is stronger. But if we just break it down a little bit, go back down to the daily, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, equal lower low, equal lower high. We're now in a range. If we can't break out of this, range, at the moment you can see we've already got a tweezer top formation here, rejecting the top of this. If we get more rejection here, I do think that we can see oil come down. We might have a nice trade on this on oil to come down to around this $49, $48 region. So keeping a close eye on that one as well, guys. Looking forward to market open. Looking forward to having a very, very busy and profitable week. So from the off, guys, as I said, don't ruin your week by doing something silly without risk management. Keep the risk management tight. Follow the rules. Have patience. And we're going to have a great week. So I hope you have a great evening. I'll update once the market opens. Let's see how the market opens and see if there's any sort of movement or gaps or anything like that. And I'll update if we have any movements like that. And that's about it for this week's Sniper Sundays. One thing I just noticed on Euro USD, I'm just going to pull this up quickly, guys. Just looking at the bigger picture always. Huge, huge, huge weekly chart here. Quite interesting. Pull a Fibonacci on this from bottom to top, and you can see here we've got this 78.6% retracement level sitting just below current price. I'm going to be watching price here, see if price can come down here and reject that level. We might ping off that level and then move up. Just something that we're going to keep an eye out on. Price here on Euro USD, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower low here. Could be pulling all the way back up and making a new lower high. So that's just something I'm going to be keeping an eye out on, guys. So everything there, as I said, 17 plus pairs, possible trades on all of them. Going to be a busy week. Have a great evening, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.